Hey guys, I saw a 92 Geo Metro the other day in the salvage yard, and I was thinking about a story that I could tell you. Back in Kansas, I had a close circle of friends. My friend Brandy needed a car, and I was able to find a 92 Geo Metro. Very base model car. No power steering, no air conditioning, no power locks, no power windows, and it had a 3-speed automatic and a 1-liter 3-cylinder. It made 50 some horsepower, so it wasn't getting anywhere fast. Well, after a while, she ended up getting a Ford Taurus, and I wasn't a fan of that car, and I don't think she was either in the long run. I had a friend named Dave Hansen. I'll just call him Hansen from now on out. Well, Hansen worked at the grocery store that I worked at too, but he had to ride his bike to work. It was about 2 miles. And he started doing that in the wintertime, and I felt kind of bad for him. You know, everybody has that one friend that just seems to not be able to get his life together, and this was Dave Hansen. So I ended up telling him he could buy Brandy's car for $200, and he ended up doing that. Well, we went to the salvage yard shortly after he got the car because it needed new front tires. And at that time, I think those cars ran 12 or 13-inch tires. They were even hard to come by back then. So we went to the salvage yard and we found some steel wheels with good rubber on them, because back then they didn't take the wheels off and sell them separately. The wheels were still on the cars when you went to go to the yard. Well, over time, I ended up doing brakes on this car. I did a wheel bearing. I did a ball joint because the car was chewing up the inside of the passenger front tire. So after I did the ball joint, he went and got it aligned. Let's see, I replaced a bunch of the interior parts. He ended up putting a subwoofer and an amp in this thing, which it was ridiculous. When we were at the salvage yard one time, I was looking for a control arm for him. Again, you wonder why you help this person so much, but it just, everybody has that friend. They can't get it together. Well, I was pulling the control arm for him, and he comes back and he had pulled a Subaru rear spoiler off of something. And I asked him what he was planning on doing with this thing. He said he was going to put it on the car. Well, this wasn't made for a hatch, it was made for a trunk. So I just kind of dismissed it as just kind of crazy. Well, he showed up for work one day and had this big trunk mounted spoiler on his roof. And we used to make a joke that it made the thing look like Mickey Mouse. Well, he had drilled the holes without using any silicone, so it leaked in the rain, and we just laughed at him all the time. Well, here's the crazy part. He ended up getting a job through a company that was based in Tennessee, and he decided he was going to drive this little Geo into on the highway to Tennessee, which was crazy because it's 55 horsepower. People ask why a lot of those cars blew head gaskets. Well, it's because people tried to make them do what they were not meant to do. You know, Metro, that's in the city, but he took it out on the highway. Well, there was a young lady in town who needed a ride to go visit her family in Tennessee. So he decided he would take her with him and do her a favor. So the day they left, he came over to my house, and there's 2 grown adults, tons of luggage in the back of this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is going to work out real well. Well, 3.5 days later, he calls me up and says that his car was leaking. And I said, where's it leaking from? He said, the water pump. So I had him pull the dipstick, and the leaking antifreeze was the least of his problems because he had water in the oil, which meant he had blown the head gasket. I asked him what it was like driving that to Tennessee. He said 55 miles an hour, 60 was really pushing the car. So he said it was a miserable experience. Well, he ended up selling that car to a local salvage yard in Tennessee. And then we had some friends that were actually coming back from Tennessee in a Ford E-Series van. So they luckily gave him a ride because his job fell through. Well, that just goes to, for me at least, it kind of shows 2 things. One, you know, you have to know what your car is capable of, and you have to know its limitations. And 2, I think everybody has that friend that they end up trying to help out that just can't seem to get their lives together. Well, it was so funny because to this day we still call that car the Mighty Metro because it managed to help 2 people, but it would have probably stayed on the road had he not taken it to Tennessee, but you guys should have seen it. It was hilarious. All right, guys, thanks.